Vamos con el tema de la noche y el ministro se encuentra con nosotros, así que más adelante tendremos una entrevista, pero por el momento el senador estadounidense Wicker envió este mensaje a través de las redes sociales refiriéndose al tema del investigador de Cicig.
Yesterday, the government of Guatemala took a decisive step toward regaining sovereignty. Guatemala revoked the visas of and deported 11 UN personnel working for the International Commission Against Impunity in Guatemala, better known by its Spanish acronym Cicig. Chartered in 2006 to help the Guatemalan state fight corruption, Cicig had morphed into a modern-day United Nations proconsul, selectively administering justice and abusing power in ways never intended. Voices on the political left, both here and overseas, will no doubt decry the decision by the duly constituted government of Guatemala. But I take the floor of the United States Senate this afternoon to state plainly my emphatic approval of this action by our Guatemalan friends. The President's decision marks a logical and welcome step toward ending Cicig's presence in Guatemala. Ultimately, an independent country has the right to decide if and under what terms a supranational institution can administer justice within its borders. Cicig was never meant to be permanent, and no country could accept an unending infringement on its sovereignty. Certainly, we in the United States would never consent to having an international body accountable to no one run our judicial system here. Our Guatemalan friends have determined that it is time for Cicig to leave, and they have a right as a sovereign nation to make that decision. Although Cicig enjoys complete functional independence, the agreement stated that Cicig must discharge its mandate in accordance with Guatemalan law and the provisions of the Constitution. Regrettably, this proviso has not been followed. Despite noble goals, it has become apparent that Cicig is not being held accountable to either Guatemalan law or the United Nations. As the largest financial contributor to the United Nations, the United States has an interest in investigating the credible allegations that Cicig was grossly overstepping its mandate. After all, the American taxpayers were largely financing this enterprise. Even its most strident supporters have acknowledged that Cicig now essentially answers to no one and needs to be reformed. American taxpayers who are footing the bill for Cicig have a right to ask Commissioner Velasquez and his Cicig team, is this the way to fight corruption in Guatemala? In short, Cicig, under the direction of Commissioner Velasquez, has gone from fighting corruption to doing Vladimir Putin's dirty work, going even so far as to persecute victims of corruption like the Bitkovs. President Morales has made a decision as the duly elected as the duly elected head of a sovereign country that he will no longer tolerate an increasingly neo-colonial force. The United States should stand behind this decision. The duly constituted government of Guatemala has made the right decision and should be congratulated for yesterday's action. The country's leadership took a necessary step in asserting its sovereignty and in ending a dysfunctional relationship with Cicig, a well-intended agency which has exceeded its mandate and outlived whatever usefulness it may initially have had.